oh, come on, it's that constant, you know, it's playing on people's belief and threatening them, basically. If they criticise, they're threatened and they're taken off the web board. They're not allowed to discuss, and they're threatened with having their child taken away. If they criticise, they're not deemed to be good parents.
Do you want me to be accurate in the things that I say to you?
Of course, but I can't.
Do you want me to be
guarantee
truthful?
That you are being.
Or do you want me to be truthful with you? I imagine you do. Then I'm going to ask you to do the same with me. And if you tell me that Tom O'Lee sent an email to somebody saying the devil was in them, and you're going to record
I'm
that,
saying,
and you're
I'm
going to,
not quoting her.
and you're going to play that on national TV, you are quoting her.
But I'm saying...
You said Tom O'Lee sent an email to someone saying... Do you understand my concern, at least?
Rhetoric all the time to threaten people, to say that Saturn is acting, you know, behind these people. She talks about, listen, I mean, you know, the Islamic faction is gaining power in Somalia and the battle lines are being drawn. Many experts believe that a wave of war and terror could easily wash over Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan and Nigeria at any time. And that's why we've got to rescue these children. Saturn is fighting all of this. He knows his end is near and he hates our Lord. He is angry and bitter and is working overtime to pull people into his web of lies and deceit. So,
and that has caused you harm how?
Beg your pardon?
And how has that caused you or someone else harm? By her estimation, her value of the world system is that there is a force of good and there is a force of evil. You know, there's a lot of people who believe that. I don't know if you do or not, but there are a lot of people who believe there's a force of good and there's a force of evil. And perhaps, I don't even know if that email exists. I hear you saying that. But if it exists, perhaps what that person is saying is that I believe there's a force of good and evil and that children in Ethiopia are at risk. Does that disturb you?
Well, yes, it does disturb me because I think it's a gross exaggeration.
Exaggerations bother me too. And that's exactly why statements like a completely unregulated industry by a professional journalist, by exaggerations like $100 million goes to the government, by exaggerations like half the agencies are unregistered. Those kind of things trouble me. They cause a fervor that needn't be. There's so much good that needs to be done in the world. Why waste our energy on exaggerations? There are some things that we can't agree on. We can agree Ethiopia needs help. We can agree that Ethiopian children needs help and that the process needs to be improved. It will always need to be improved.
And that people need to stop harvesting children.
We would agree with that.
So are you aware of other agencies that are harvesting children?
I don't know of anyone harvesting children. Neither do you.
You just said that you're aware of it. Anyway,
I'm sorry? I'm sorry?
Have you been contacted by the Council of Accreditation since our story went to air?
By the Council of Accreditation.
The organisation.
What is a Council of Accreditation?
The organisation that is deemed to give out Hague accreditation in the US.
I guess I'm not sure that you're using appropriate titles, and so I have to say no. Council of Accreditation. Has someone who gives out Hague accreditation contacted me?
Contacted CWA since the story to talk about the program.
I can't fully be truthful on that because CWA comprises a lot of people. If someone in CWA got a call, I don't know about it. Let me say it that way.
What about, has the Ethiopian government questioned CWA since our story went to air?
I don't know. I would suspect, because the Ethiopian government cares deeply about its children and about the process of adoption, I would be shocked if the Ethiopian government hasn't looked at it. Now, we take a different view of that. I know you all have said that the Ethiopian government is callous. I think you said that, let me see if I can find exactly the quote. Here we go. You've said that the government is showing no signs it's going to jeopardize that income for the sake of the children. Don't you think that's a callous charge? Don't you think that's pretty sharp? Don't you think that's a pretty damning statement to make with no evidence?
I wouldn't agree that there was no evidence.
Would you agree that there was sufficient evidence in your mind that you would go on national television to say that the Ethiopian government is making $100 million from adoptions? Now, you know it charges...
Yes, I would.
You know it charges no adoption fees,
we've
don't
already
you?
dealt with that.
No. Wait.
I have
I'm
no
happy to answer
problem
your
without-
questions
without
about
the-
CWA's
without
conduct.
saying there was a $100 million business.
Sure.
I have no problem with that. I think
Yeah.
that was accurate. Anyway, can we
Marianne,
just move on?
let me
What
just
is
say this, Marianne.
CWA's
I will
res-
sit here
Look,
and
I'm
I will
really
respond
sorry,
to
Curtis,
every question you have
but we need
about
to move
our
on.
conduct. I'll just
I
ask
wanna
you to
talk
respond to
about
ours as well.
Christian- I just want to
If you,
talk
unless you guys have
about
things to
Christian world
hide.
adoption.
I know.
What is their relationship with the
I know.
Ethiopian government?
Why don't you want to talk about things
Because
that you
that's-
all have done?
Because I'm saying to you, I stand by what we said.
I know, but I was just going to ask you about how you stand by that, and we seem to be
Well, I
leaving the
have
subject rather
explained to
quickly.
you how we stand by that.
Okay, tell me how you stand by the statement. The Ethiopian government is showing no signs it's going to jeopardize that income for the sake of the children. Do you believe that Ethiopia doesn't care about its children?
I believe that the Ethiopian government is corrupt, and that it is a big business for them, and that they don't want it to end. I do believe that, and I believe that because I'm well informed through international human rights organisations that have done a huge amount of work in that field.
So because someone has told you that, you believe
No,
it?
and by what I observed on the ground myself.
Would you be willing to tell us what you observed that led you to that conclusion?
Well, the people that we spoke to, I don't need to go through this.
You don't.
The interview is actually me asking you questions. You agreed to answer our questions about Christian world adoption.
And you've been
So
kind
I
enough
would
to
like-
respond to some of our questions.
Yes.
So it seems like a foreign correspondent isn't as willing to answer questions about things they've done as CWA is to answer questions about what it's done. But go ahead.
What is Christian world adoption's relationship with the Ethiopian government?
CWA is a registered international adoption agency, and it identifies worthy parents in the United States and coordinates those parents with needy children in Ethiopia.
Tommy Lee Harding and Robert Harding were there recently, and I saw them in a photograph with the president. What's their relationship with the president?
Tom Lee Harding and Bob Harding are very well respected almost everywhere they go, and that's because you and I are focusing on really on a microcosm. CWA helps far more people that stay in country than even adopted children. You know, CWA will pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into countries around the world for food and clothing and clean water and medication. It's building at its own expense, as a gift to Ethiopia, a $4 million community center, totally giving it to the Ethiopian people because it cares about them. When you do those kinds of things, when you care about people, even people who have nothing to do with adoption, when you help people simply because they're desperate and needy, you earn the respect of the leaders of those countries. And they have, and deserve it.
Is this the Acacia Village project?
The Acacia Village project is the $4 million project I was referenced. And that $4 million is my number. I know that is a target.
I noticed on the website that it says it's for orphans and pregnant women who want an alternative to abortion.
That's part of what it says.
Many people
That's
have
not-
said to us that it's purely a baby factory. What would you say to them?
Well, how do they know what it is? It doesn't even exist yet. And I would say that really is counterintuitive, isn't it? Again, there are 6 million children. 500 will die today. 500 will starve to death. There's 6 million. It's not as if we have to go over there and generate children. It's not as if someone needs to go over there and pull
But
children
isn't
from the
it a
loving
massive
arms of
conflict of
parents.
interest for an adoption agency to have a facility that looks after pregnant women? Aren't they just going to be coerced into giving their children up for international adoption? Not even they're not going to be counselled to have their children adopted locally. Isn't it a conflict of interest?